If you've been having dreams about bigger bank accounts, feeling cramped in your current financial situation, or sensing that your money mindset is too small for where God is taking you, don't scroll past this. What I'm about to share might be the financial breakthrough revelation you've been praying for. You're not being greedy. You're not being materialistic. You're being prepared for financial promotion. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why that financial restlessness isn't lack of contentment, it's your wealth DNA activating. Let me ask you a question, not as a preacher, not as a financial expert, but as someone who knows what it feels like to sit in a room full of bills while sensing that your future doesn't belong in that room. Have you been feeling financially itchy lately? And I'm not talking about the kind of itch that says, I want more stuff. No, I mean the deeper itch, the one that whispers in your soul, I've outgrown this. That's not just financial discomfort. That's financial calling. That's God stirring something inside you that refuses to settle for survival when you were built for overflow. You're not being ungrateful. You're not being materialistic. You're not chasing money. You're responding to something internal that knows where you are right now is too small for what God has placed in you. And if you've been trying to pray that feeling away, let me relieve you, don't. That restlessness, that dissatisfaction with your income, your budget, your savings, your job, that's divine discomfort. And it's the first sign that your financial elevation is near. There was a time when that paycheck used to feel like freedom. That job title used to make you proud. That budget you created used to be your shield against financial chaos. But now, it all feels tight. What used to satisfy now suffocates. What used to feel stable now feels stagnant. What used to be more than enough now feels like barely getting by. You haven't changed in a bad way. You've changed in a grown way. God is showing you that what once was a ceiling is now a cage. And cages don't always come with metal bars. Sometimes they come with stable salaries. Sometimes they come with just enough bank balances. Sometimes they come with the applause of people who don't understand your calling. Let's clear something up. Being broke is a condition, but being called to wealth? That's a destiny. There's a difference between I can't afford it and I'm not staying here. There's a difference between I'm surviving and I'm building. See, broke says, this is all there is. But financial calling says, this may be where I started, but this is not where I'm staying. You're not broken. You're being prepared. That uncomfortable itch to expand, to invest, to create, to exit survival mode, that's how God starts stirring his people. Before he releases new resources, he rewires the receiver. Before he multiplies your money, he magnifies your mindset. You don't need to be rich to feel this. You don't need a six-figure check to know God is calling you up. It starts like this. You scroll past online business classes and something tugs at you. You see people talking about wealth, and it no longer sounds arrogant. It sounds responsible. You stop dreaming of just paying bills and start dreaming of funding missions, starting companies, helping family, and breaking cycles. You can't ignore it anymore. Look at Abraham. He wasn't just moved from one city to another. He was moved from a limited financial context to a covenantal inheritance. David didn't go from shepherd to king without growing financially. Rulership required resources. His destiny required currency. Even Jesus had financial stewardship in his ministry. He had a treasurer. Why? Because purpose without provision limits potential. Before breakthrough comes pressure. Before elevation comes itching. Before promotion comes provocation. That thing in your spirit that says, I'm too big for this level now. Let me give you permission to lean into that. Stop trying to shrink back because you're afraid of sounding like you want too much. You don't want too much, you're called to carry much. And the itch is God's way of saying, get ready. Expansion is coming. You've been trying to dismiss it. Maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I should just be grateful for what I have. Maybe this is just capitalism messing with me. No, it's God confronting your comfort. He's not asking you to stop being grateful. He's asking you to stop using gratitude as a spiritual excuse to stay stuck. Gratitude and growth are not enemies. You can say thank you for today and still expect more for tomorrow. Let's make this personal. You know this message is for you if you've been looking at your paycheck and thinking, this isn't enough for the vision I carry. You feel guilty dreaming about financial freedom, but you still dream anyway. You keep feeling pulled to things that cost more than what you currently have. You've stopped settling for just surviving. If any of that sounds like you, let me affirm it loud and clear. You're in a financial moving season. And like any move, it starts with packing up the mindset that kept you in your last place. Let's talk about something most people overlook. Something that feels like discomfort, but is actually divine direction. Your financial restlessness isn't random. It's not a mindset problem. It's a message. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're not irresponsible. You're prophetically sensitive, and your money spirit is responding to where God is about to take you. What you're feeling right now is what I call the wealth stirring. You can't sit through another paycheck-to-paycheck month without feeling sick inside. You're annoyed by budget conversations that used to make you proud. You've started avoiding small talk because your mind is building something bigger than anyone around you can see. That's not greed. That's not ego. That is your future sending you instructions. Heaven is ringing the alarm. You keep waking up in the middle of the night thinking about money, not because you're anxious, but because your assignment is speaking. You keep losing interest in things that once satisfied you, not because you're confused, but because you're being recalibrated. You hear the word wealth now, and you don't think of mansions, you think of impact. That right there is a prophetic shift. Look at Abraham. God told him, leave your father's house. Go to a land I will show you. That wasn't just a location change. It was a financial identity transformation. Abraham went from being a son in someone else's system to the father of nations, managing covenant resources. That move was uncomfortable. It was uncertain. It was risky. But it was also prophetic. And it was necessary. Now let me break this down. When God begins to reveal your next financial season, He starts by making your current one intolerable. And He doesn't just do it with thoughts. He starts putting signs around you. Here are some of the signs you may be ignoring. Sign 1. You see opportunity where others see risk. Lately, you've been seeing business opportunities in everyday life. You hear someone complain about a problem, and your brain instantly creates a solution. You're not doing too much, you're seeing too clearly. That's prophetic. God is showing you how to create wealth, not just consume it. Sign 2. You're drawn to financial conversations that used to bore you. Investment videos, business podcasts, TED Talks. You find yourself listening more and more, not to pass the time, but because your spirit is feeding on preparation. This isn't hype. It's heaven's classroom. You're being trained. And guess what? God wouldn't let you become obsessed with this if He wasn't preparing to entrust you with more. Sign 3. People have started asking you for money advice. You may not even feel qualified. But somehow, people are sensing that there's wisdom on you. They're drawn to your financial calm. They trust your instincts. That's a prophetic sign that God is increasing your capacity for stewardship. Don't brush it off. Embrace it. Learn. Grow. Steward. Sign 4. You can't stand, just get by anymore. Even when others are okay with just making ends meet, you feel off. You don't judge them, but you also can't stay there with them anymore. The conversations drain you. The limitations frustrate you. The complacency irritates your soul. That's not pride. That's prophecy. You're being called out of just enough and into more than enough for purpose. It's like a system update happening in the background of your spirit. He's updating how you see money, how you speak about money, how you prepare for money, how you respect and release money. That's why you feel off when you're around scarcity. That's why your current lifestyle feels like hand-me-downs. God is not punishing you with discomfort. He's preparing you with clarity. It's tempting to think you're under attack, but I came to tell you, this is not warfare. This is welfare. You are not under demonic pressure. You're under prophetic preparation. Stop asking God to take the restlessness away. Instead, ask Him, what do you want me to see here? What are you shifting in me? What am I supposed to be preparing for? Because when the financial shift hits, and it will, you don't want to be stuck at the wrong frequency, wondering why you feel left behind. Here's the truth. Prophetic people always feel the shift before they see the supply. They sense that the season is changing even while their bank account still says, not yet. You might be the first in your family to feel this. You might be the only one in your circle who hears it. But if God is stirring you to move financially, obey Him. You're not crazy. You're not being dramatic. You're being called. And your financial restlessness is not your enemy. It's your early warning system. You've been praying for financial breakthrough, asking God for a sign, wondering if now is the time, second-guessing whether you're hearing right. But what if the signs are already all around you? Let me help you see clearly. There are 5 undeniable signs that God is moving you to your next financial level. Not someday. Not when you finally feel ready. I mean now. Let's go deep on each one. Sign 1. Your current income can't fund your God-given vision. This is the first, and often the loudest sign. You wake up with big ideas. You see solutions to problems. You dream about helping people, building something impactful, launching something that matters, but every time you look at your bank balance, your heart sinks. You're not dreaming too big. You're just living on a budget that wasn't built for your calling. You know you're supposed to start that nonprofit, build that content platform, fund that mission trip, send your parents a full month's rent, hire help for your business, but when you do the math, it just doesn't stretch. That is not a sign to shrink your dream. That is a clear signal that your dream didn't come from your current income. It came from your future provision. God will never give you a calling He doesn't intend to fund. And when your calling begins to demand more than your paycheck can provide, that's heaven saying, this budget isn't broken. It's just outdated. You've outgrown your financial bracket, and your vision knows it before your wallet does. Sign 2. You're solving small problems when you're built for bigger ones. Here's a truth no one likes to say out loud. The size of the problem you solve determines the size of the money you attract. If you're stuck solving $10 per hour problems, but you feel called to solve $10,000 per month problems, you'll feel financial tension every single day. And the people around you will say, you should be grateful you have a job. You're lucky you get paid at all. But your spirit is over here yelling, I wasn't created to spend my life solving menial problems. I was created to solve meaningful ones. You're not bored. You're not lazy. You're misaligned. When God begins elevating you financially, He elevates your capacity to solve. And when He increases your capacity to solve, He also increases your value in the marketplace. So if you've been craving greater impact, deeper conversations, higher level assignments, if you're scrolling job listings and none of them excite you anymore, it might not be a career crisis. It might be a calling upgrade. Sign 3. Your circle can't speak to your financial next. This one hurts, but it's real. You bring up investing and they say, that's risky. You bring up starting a business and they say, just be thankful for your 9 to 5. You bring up wealth and they say, money isn't everything. And you sit there thinking, I'm not worshiping money. I'm trying to walk in mission. But no matter what you say, they keep pulling the conversation and your mindset back down. Listen to me. Elevation creates isolation before it creates multiplication. When God starts raising your money mindset, one of the first things He'll do is make your current circle uncomfortable. Not because they're evil, not because they're bad people, but because they're assigned to your old level. You can't expect people who are surviving to understand why you're trying to build wealth. You can't expect people who are managing lack to advise you on managing overflow. It's not arrogance. It's awareness. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough in your finances starts with saying, "God, send me people who think on my next level." Sign 4. You feel guilty about wanting more money, but you know it's for kingdom purpose. Let's address this spiritual shame. You feel torn. You know you're supposed to want just enough. You don't want to appear greedy or flashy. You've been told that money is a temptation. You've been warned that wealth is a distraction. But deep down, you still feel drawn to the idea of having more. You don't want more to flaunt it. You want more to free people, fund vision, create jobs, retire your mom, pay off debt, support your church, and stop passing down financial trauma to your kids. And that guilt? That guilt is not proof you're greedy. It's proof you're called. The enemy will always use guilt to try to stop what God wants to fund. But here's what you need to know. Money in the hands of someone with vision becomes ministry. Wealth in the hands of someone with compassion becomes provision. Finances in the hands of someone obedient become kingdom tools. Stop letting religious guilt block kingdom growth. God isn't raising you to hoard, He's raising you to help. Sign 5. Bigger faith moves keep showing up. You thought you were done stretching your faith. Then out of nowhere, you're presented with an investment, a business opportunity, a client outside your rate card, a job that requires more confidence than you currently feel. You didn't ask for it, but it keeps showing up, over and over and over again. You're praying for safety, and God keeps pushing you into strategy. You're asking for clarity, and God keeps sending challenges that require courage. Why? Because financial elevation requires faith activation. If the opportunity looks scary, but your spirit feels peace under the fear, that's a divine money move. You can't walk into overflow with yesterday's obedience. God will not give you your new financial level while you're stuck in your old financial behavior. And He doesn't wait until you're ready. He waits until you're willing. So what now? If 2, 3, or all 5 of these signs hit you square in the spirit, then hear me clearly. You're not just financially frustrated. You're financially called. The next level is ready for you. The provision is prepared. The doors are in place. Now you've got to decide, will I keep trying to make it work at this level? Or will I move in obedience toward the level I know I'm built for? Type financial breakthrough in the comments if this is you. Let the algorithm know this was the word you've been waiting for. Let your faith know that today is the day you stop tolerating just enough. And let God know, I see what you're showing me. I'm ready for the shift. Let's talk about something that you may be feeling but haven't been able to say out loud. You're growing. Spiritually, mentally, financially. You're dreaming bigger. You're talking differently. You're seeing your life with new eyes. And while that sounds like good news, and it is, here's the part no one tells you. Not everyone around you is going to be able to come with you to your financial next. And that truth? It's going to sting a little. You see, we love the idea of going higher. We love the vision of increase. We pray for overflow. We fast for breakthrough. But we don't always talk about the cost of new levels. And one of the biggest costs? Separation. Not because you're better than anyone, but because you're different now. You're walking in a different mindset. You're tuning your ear to different frequencies. You're learning to steward wealth. You're unlearning poverty and what used to bond you to certain people. Shared struggle, shared frustration, shared lack is no longer the place you want to live. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Let's be honest. Some people are going to be uncomfortable with your financial growth. They liked it when you were struggling with them. They related to you when you both had nothing. They felt empowered when you leaned on them for advice, when you said, "Yeah, me too," during every conversation about not having enough. But now you're talking about starting a business. Now you're excited about buying land. Now you're learning about investments. Now you're listening to motivational audios, setting financial boundaries, charging your worth, and walking away from opportunities that no longer match your value. And here's what will happen. Some of those same people will start saying things like, "You've changed. Money's getting to your head. You think you're better now?" And the answer? Yes, you have changed. And you're not ashamed of that. You are not better than them. But you are better than where you used to be. And sometimes the only way to grow is to outgrow. You cannot build a wealthy mindset while staying loyal to poverty conversations. You cannot learn investment language while constantly defending your worth to people who think money is evil. Let me be clear. You don't have to cut people off with bitterness. You don't have to announce your exit with drama. But you do have to guard your mindset. Because here's the truth. Your environment will either feed your future or fight it. And your current financial transformation is too sacred to let it be sabotaged by opinions, gossip, or guilt. This is something you need to understand spiritually. Not everyone is assigned to your next level. Some people were only assigned to your last season. They helped you survive. They kept you company in the middle of the struggle. They were comforting while you cried over unpaid bills and missed opportunities. And for that, you should be grateful. But their purpose may have expired. And when God begins shifting you financially, He'll start removing voices that keep you small. He's not doing it to punish you. He's doing it to protect your potential. In this financial moving season, be very careful who you take advice from. Because here's the thing. Someone who's never built wealth can't teach you how to manage it. Someone who's afraid of risk can't teach you about investment. Someone who only knows survival can't teach you about legacy. You have to stop asking broke minds how to walk in abundance. Not because they're bad, but because they're limited. And God is expanding you. So if He's shifting your income, He'll also shift your counsel. If He's increasing your provision, He'll increase your conversations. New level, new language, new mentors, new mindset. Yes, it might get lonely. This is the part nobody likes. It can feel lonely when you're the only one talking about abundance in a room that idolizes struggle. It can feel isolating when you're the only one budgeting, planning, sewing, learning, and preparing. But remember, isolation is often the incubation chamber for elevation. Ask Joseph. Ask Moses. Ask Jesus. Before public purpose came private preparation. So yes, it might get quiet. It might get weird. It might feel like you're walking alone. But you're not walking alone. You're walking ahead. And soon, you'll realize that the separation wasn't rejection, it was divine redirection. What to do now? So what do you do when you realize that everyone can't come? 1. Honor without holding on. You can love people from a new position. Don't drag them forward. Let them grow on their own timeline. 2. Set financial boundaries. You don't owe anyone an explanation for wanting more. Stop explaining your stewardship. Start walking in it. 3. Find a new financial tribe. Look for people who talk like where you're going. People who budget, invest, build, grow, so your future has a community. It's time to find it. 4. Release the guilt. This one's big. Stop apologizing for wanting to rise. Stop shrinking to make others feel secure. You don't have to apologize for God's favor. Your financial elevation is a spiritual assignment. You cannot afford to abort your mission for the sake of old connections. This doesn't mean you're better. It means you're called higher. Let God handle the friendships. Let Him sift the relationships. Let Him build your new circle. You just keep walking. Say this: I bless who they were. I release who they were. And I give God permission to surround me with voices that feed where I'm going. And if you're in that in-between space, where you still love the people behind you, but you feel pulled to something ahead of you, know this. You're not wrong. You're not arrogant. You're not unfaithful. You're just growing. And growth always costs something. Let's pause everything for a moment. You've heard the challenges. You've wrestled with the discomfort. You've sat in the tension of stretching out of your current level. But now, I want to show you something. Let me show you what's on the other side of that obedience. Let me describe what's waiting for you in your financial next. Because if you don't have a clear picture of what God has in store, you'll keep talking yourself into staying where you are. You'll treat movement like a burden instead of a blessing. But what's ahead of you is nothing short of life-changing. Let's get this straight. Your next financial season is not just about a bigger bank balance. It's about bigger impact, influence, and obedience. More money is coming, yes, but not just so you can upgrade your lifestyle, so you can upgrade your assignment. You're being positioned for bigger generosity, deeper kingdom work, wider community influence, higher-level financial decisions that align with your spiritual authority. You're not just being called to make more. You're being called to distribute more. One of the first things that happens when you enter your financial next is this. Your purpose stops competing with your paycheck. You know what it feels like to have purpose, but feel broke. You know what it's like to want to help, to give, to serve, but always feel limited. That ends in your next season. You're about to enter a place where your vision has budget. Your generosity has overflow. Your creativity has capital. Your obedience has resources. No more, God, I want to do it, but I don't have the funds. You're moving into, God, I'm ready. And the resources you promised are here. There are some doors that will not respond to prayer, fasting, or grinding. They only open when provision aligns with preparation. In your next financial level, doors begin to open because you now carry the weight and readiness that the opportunity requires. You'll walk into rooms you never campaigned for. You'll receive invitations you didn't even know existed. People will begin to ask you, "How did you get in here?" And you'll respond, "I didn't hustle my way in. I obeyed my way up." Because when God elevates you, no one can take the credit but Him. In your next financial season, money won't just come through effort. It will come through alignment. You'll see passive income through things you already know how to do, business opportunities that flow from your natural gifting, clients and contracts chasing you down instead of the other way around, royalties, licensing, and multiplication from a single act of obedience. You'll realize you don't need to burn out to earn. You don't have to beg to be blessed. And you don't have to compromise to be compensated. Why? Because now your money is a response to obedience, not a reward for overworking. As your money mindset changes, so will your conversations. You'll go from, "How do I survive this month?" to, "How do I invest in legacy?" From, "Can I afford this?" to, "How does this align with God's purpose for my life?" And when your language changes, your circle will shift. You'll find yourself surrounded by builders, givers, visionaries, people who talk about investments and kingdom strategy instead of just bills and struggle. You won't have to hide your ambition. You won't have to explain why you dream big. You won't feel guilty for talking about overflow. Because everyone around you is headed the same direction. One of the greatest gifts of your next level isn't just external wealth, it's internal maturity. You'll start making decisions not from a place of desperation, but from discernment. You'll know when to spend and when to save, when to sow and when to scale, when to pause and when to push. You'll learn the sacred rhythm of stewardship. And instead of chasing money, you'll start to attract it because you've finally aligned with who God created you to be financially. There are blessings that have been held up, not because God didn't want to release them, but because you weren't yet the version of yourself who could handle them. But now, you've endured the restlessness. You've sat through the stretching. You've matured in the wilderness. And God is saying, now I can trust you. So get ready. The land is about to produce. The connections are about to manifest. The harvest is about to hit your account. And the divine delays are about to become suddenly moments. In your next financial season, you'll stop treating overflow like it's a bonus and start recognizing it as a requirement. Because when you're called to sponsor others, fund movements, employ people, cancel debts, build infrastructure, break generational cycles, you don't need just enough, you need more than enough. The widow in 2 Kings 4 didn't just need oil to survive. She needed vessels to hold the overflow. Joseph didn't just save himself. He saved a nation, but only because he had the wisdom to prepare for financial abundance. Your next level isn't selfish. It's strategic. What's waiting for you is worth it. I know it's been uncomfortable. I know the stretching hurt. I know you had to unlearn a lot. I know people questioned your motives, judged your ambition, and made you feel like you were doing too much. But now you know. You weren't chasing status. You were chasing stewardship. You weren't craving excess. You were craving impact. You weren't obsessed with money. You were obsessed with walking in obedience to what God showed you. So here's the vision. Take it. Close your eyes and picture this. No more guilt about your goals, no more shrinking when it's time to shine, no more fear about whether it's okay to have more, no more disconnection between your faith and your finances, no more asking for permission to walk in provision instead. Peace when the bills come, joy when you give confidence, when you invest clarity, when you build boldness, when you say yes to abundance. That's what's waiting for you. Your financial next is not a fantasy. It's a fulfillment. And now that you've seen it, you're accountable to walk toward it. You've heard enough to know this isn't a coincidence. That restlessness in your spirit, that tug in your chest every time someone mentions financial breakthrough, that low-grade frustration when you look at your bank balance and know you're meant for more, it's not hype. It's not ego. And it's not greed. It's God calling you higher. You're not watching this by accident. This is not just another video. This is your confirmation. You've outgrown your current financial level, not just because of your bills, but because of your burden. Because you've got a vision that won't stop, a purpose that won't shrink, and a faith that refuses to settle. Now you know what's happening. God has been disrupting your contentment, not to punish you, but to position you. He's been stretching your belief, testing your discipline, calling you into rooms you didn't feel ready for. So he could make you into someone you never thought you could become. And now it's time to act like someone who's already been approved for elevation. That means letting go of conversations that no longer serve your calling, moving in faith even when the full financial blueprint isn't clear, saying yes to scary opportunities because you know who sent you, making money decisions from identity, not insecurity. Listen closely. You don't have to beg God for the money. You just have to trust Him enough to walk toward it. Because wherever He's taking you financially, the funding is already assigned. The clients are already prepared. The contracts are already printed. The doors are already unlocked. All that's missing is your yes. So here's what I want you to do right now. 1. Type financial breakthrough in the comments to declare your new season. 2. Share this with someone who's been battling financial restlessness. 3. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Because this is just the beginning. What God's about to do in your finances. You'll want to be connected to every word. Pack your vision. Pack your strategy. Pack your obedience. But leave your poverty mindset behind. Because where you're going, they don't take that as carry-on. Your new financial you is already waiting. The wealth is already in motion. Now walk like it's already yours.